morning. I'm Ellen McSherry, Chief Operating Officer at the NJCPA, and welcome to IssuesWatch. Today's edition of IssuesWatch is sponsored by the New Jersey Tax Amnesty Program, which is running now through January 15th. We'll be sharing more information about the program a little bit later in this broadcast. Today I'm joined by Ralph Thomas, CEO and Executive Director of the NJCPA, and Sarah Krom, our 2018-19 President of the NJCPA and Managing Partner at SKC & Company CPAs.
Good morning, Ellen.
Good morning, Sarah. Good morning, Ralph.
Good morning, Ellen.
We are broadcasting live today on December 14th, and we will be airing 2 replays of this broadcast. If you have a colleague who wasn't able to attend the live broadcast, the dates and times and registration information for the replays are displayed on your screen. If you have any questions at any point during the broadcast, we invite you to submit them to the questions box or tweet them to us at using #IssuesWatch. We will try to address questions submitted during the live broadcast at the end of the program. Questions submitted during a replay will be answered within 24 hours. So what are we going to cover today? We're going to cover trends in the accounting profession, New Jersey issues and updates, and federal updates. So we're going to start off first with the trends in New Jersey, and I'm going to turn that over to Ralph and have him, what's going on in New Jersey?
Yeah, lots of things are going on in New Jersey. One of the big things that we're engaged in is what's happening with small firms. And so Sarah's going to talk a little bit about our ways. We have, interesting enough, more than 3,000 small firms here in New Jersey. And it's a higher proportion of sole practitioners in small firms than most any other state society or states in the country. To try to understand what all of those sole practitioners and small CPA firms need and want, we solicited feedback in several ways. We conducted a survey, an extensive survey earlier this year. Sarah and I have visited numerous firms, and Sarah has held small dine and connect breakfast meetings and lunch meetings with a number of our members as well. Small firms, are the lifeblood of the society. They make up the largest portion of the constituency. So, Sarah, can you share a little bit about what we engaged and what you engaged with as you went around in your dine arounds?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. I would say that we could pretty much break the topics down into 7 main categories. And really the first one is that the NJCPA should be more of a voice for the CPAs. There's been some thoughts that the AICPA has taken a shift away from supporting the CPA license, and members are really hungry for an organization that services and protects the CPA license and only that license. We should be focusing on supporting small firms. Small practitioners and solo firms have limited resources. Their partners wear a lot of hats and they need support from the organization as well. They're overloaded with compliance standards. They are craving information on the new tax law. There's concern over how that's potentially going to impact their profession and their firms, since a lot of them work primarily in the tax space, and that's an unknown for them. They're also looking to get support from their local chapters for learning and networking, and getting more participation from larger firms in the vicinities of the chapters for support and resources as well. In addition, they want to be able to educate their young professionals about various CPA career options and attract them more into the profession, and they're looking for help from the society to do that. And then finally, they also want to keep the CPA designation front and center and make the public more aware of what the license means and the benefits in the organization.
Well, I would say you got quite a bit of feedback. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So if I had to ask Sarah and Ralph, what then is the NJCPA looking to do to address some of these needs?
Well, we've got a lot of things underway. We're implementing, and more things are going to be in the works. We recently launched a small firm web page. It features articles, best practices, events, and resources for sole practitioners and small firms. I think what's good about that is it's gathering resources in one place so that our members don't have to go here, there, and everywhere to find resources. And one of the things that we'll be doing with our upcoming issue of New Jersey CPA Magazine is that we will be having a section on taxes, a big discussion on that. So that is something that I think small firms will benefit, and all firms really will benefit from, in the fact that we're going to have a nice selection of articles and things taking place relative to taxes and some of the things that Sarah mentioned earlier. New Jersey CPA firms with at least one NJCPA member should be taking advantage of our Find a CPA, and they can activate that, and there's going to be a brief video to share what this program is all about. Well, all firms should activate their listing by the end of January so they can take advantage of the heavy web traffic which will be taking place during tax season. So if you haven't done it, it's very simple, it's very easy. Go out and activate that. You never know what opportunities may come before you. Now, I guess I'll turn it over to Sarah now to talk about some of the other things that we have in play, and one of the special relationships that we've developed that we think will be helpful to small businesses.
Absolutely, and again, in response to some of what we're hearing from members, the State Society has worked very, very hard, and they've developed a relationship with a company called Matters of Management, and they are now an NJCPA business services provider. The services that they'll be providing members include marketing, business development, HR operations, talent acquisition, people management, and training. So it's a great resource for those smaller or solo practitioner firms that need to have some of this back office support. In addition, they've also just signed with a company called Marketing 360, and it's a marketing platform for small businesses, and we'll be sharing more information and details about that service very soon. As far as talent goes and staffing, whether you need temporary help during tax season or need to fill a permanent position, members can turn to the NJCPA Job Bank. NJCPA members always receive a discount on job postings, and for a limited time you can save an additional 20% on top of the member discount by using the code that's appearing on your screen.
And firms looking to merge or acquire other firms or be acquired can post an NJCPA classified ad. Ads can appear on the website, in New Jersey CPA Magazine, or in both. A number of firms have taken advantage of the NJCPA's video services. You can film here in our studio or at a location of your choice. There are also a number of other services that are available to our NJCPA members, including insurance, shipping, business services, and more. Visit the NJCPA Member Benefit Marketplace. I really encourage you to do that because there are a lot of great things out there, from professional liability insurance to, as we say, shipping costs and things, and you just never know. So periodically visit the marketplace to see what is being offered. We're always looking at new opportunities to help our members.
You know, Ralph, one of the things that is they're challenging, I think, and Sarah, you heard this on when you've gone and had your Dine and Connects with the members, is attracting and retaining talent. Mm-hmm. If you had to give any piece of advice, what types of things we have that we can offer to our members to help them in that area, what would they be?
Well, one of the things is that we're developing an intern registry, if you will, where a lot of small firms every now and then need help or need assistance during busy season. So that's a great resource where you can go out. So we're working with the colleges and universities to get their accounting majors to sign up for the intern registry. And just in general, we're here 24/7, I say, because this is a membership organization. So when our members have challenges or problems, they can feel free to call anyone on staff to get assistance and help in anything. that they may have a concern with.
Thanks, Ralph. That's really important. You know, also, it's important for you to know that we do have a number of things in the works for small firms. Ralph mentioned our interim board. We're going to be launching that later this winter, and we have a new webinar series for small firms that will take place after tax season. And we're in discussions with additional companies to provide strategic consulting services in the area of succession planning, mergers and acquisition, partner retreats, and more. And we hope to have those solidified probably in the January, February timeframe. To help small firms and larger firms, the AICPA has two exciting software initiatives. Here is former NJCPA President Jim Burke. He's with Witham Smith & Brown, and he's going to tell you a little bit about these services.
Hi, Jim Burke here, partner at Witham Smith & Brown, Managing Director of Advisory Services and past president of your New Jersey side CPAs. So I figured I'd give you guys an update on what's happening with the AICPA with engagement management applications. So real exciting news. So right now in the market, the AICPA has a on-point solution. The on-point solution does prep, comp, and review. It is built for the cloud from the ground up. And so if you're frustrated in the marketplace with legacy vendors in the space, this is a great solution. It was released by the AICPA in June of this year, created by CPA.com and the AICPA, along with Caseware. Caseware Cloud is the engine. If you are one of the 15,000 firms in the U.S. that actually does audited financial statements, get ready for this. So the AICPA, in collaboration with CPA.com and a handful of the major firms, is in the process right now as I speak, creating the dynamic audit solution. The dynamic audit solution will be a technology solution for doing audited financial statements like you've never seen before. Dynamic audit solution is building in technologies that exist today and that are contemplated to exist tomorrow that will be built in at later dates. So think about this. The audit of the future, what will it be all about? It will be all about the data that's embedded in your clients systems. Things like blockchain, things like big data, things like artificial intelligence, cognitive learning, all of those features being built into this technology on a going forward basis. So the technology is under construction right now. It will be tagged as the dynamic audit solution. The technology is being funded by a handful of major firms that will benefit our entire profession. And the fact that we have about 15,000 firms in the U.S. doing audited financial statements, anyone will have access to that tool that wants access to that tool. What is being funded? The creation of the methodology. So when you think methodology, think PPC from Thompson, think Knowledge Coach from CCH. This is a unique methodology being built for specific industries, being built to lay out the audit process, being built into this tool. So again, foundation for the tool being provided by Caseware, and the methodology being funded by a number of the major firms coming together to create the dynamic audit solution. Not here today. It is being worked on. Within the next 24 months, you'll start to hear about it. The very first vertical that will be released will likely be for the non-profit sector, followed by others as time goes on.
Thank you, Jim, for providing that update. I think it's really important to note that the dynamic audit solution that Jim talked about is not being funded by AICPA member dues. As Jim mentioned, the primary funding is coming from CPA firms and to fund the project for the benefit of the entire profession. I think that's really a great commitment on the next, what we call the major firms group, and for them to step up to the table. And I think Jim probably mentioned it, but they've committed $47 million to this project, and I think it will be something that will be very beneficial to small firms who don't necessarily have the bandwidth to go in all the new technological advances that we're seeing in the marketplace. So this should also help them continue to be relevant to their clients in today's environment. So it'll be exciting to watch the progress of this project. Yeah. I think the hope is that in sort of the middle of 2019, it'll be ready to launch. So we're going to be right there chomping at the bit with the other state society to see what it has to offer and to help roll it out to our members. I think it'll really be something that they'll really be able to benefit from in that regard.
Thanks, Ralph. So while we were listening to Jim We did have a question that came in from one of our participants today, and that person asked, can the NJCPA provide medical and dental insurance to our members? We get this question a lot, and unfortunately the answer is we are prohibited in New Jersey by state law from offering medical insurance. It was back in, I want to say it was the early 90s that the law was passed, and now with affordable health care, prior to affordable health care coming on board, we tried to go back in and have the law amended, but when affordable health care came into play, the thought process was that anyone who needed health insurance could get it through under the Affordable Care Act. I can tell you the reason why associations were ultimately not permitted in New Jersey, and it is really just New Jersey, offering medical, is that the association plans tended to have those folks who had significant medical needs, thus increasing the cost, and it's becoming cost prohibitive to run those plans. So I wish I had a better answer for you, but unfortunately that's the landscape that we're playing in right now. So we're going to take some look at some other trends right now. Sarah, what are we hearing?
Yeah, absolutely. We're seeing a continuing trend where CPA firms are hiring more and more non-CPAs. So there's a chart that's coming up on your screen now that shows the trends in this area among the top 100 CPA firms over the past 7 years. You can see that the growth in hiring non-CPA professionals is far outpacing the hiring of CPAs. And there was actually an article just yesterday in the Wall Street Journal specifically about the Big Four accounting firms. And it said that the Big Four accounting firms had revenues that rose more than 10% in 2018, which has been their strongest annual growth for at least a decade. And that's attributed to their continued long shift toward increasing consulting much more over their core auditing practices. The Big Four firms' revenue from consulting and other advisory work grew faster than revenue from auditing, as it has for the past several years. So if you're interested in more details on that, that came out in yesterday's Wall Street Journal. So in addition to that, there's the Robert Half 2019 Salary Guide for Auditing and Finance Professionals that has highlighted a number of hiring trends in our areas. And number one is businesses are hiring experts to help them comply with new standards such as revenue recognition and lease accounting. So number two, hiring of accounting and finance professionals in the healthcare sector remains active. Hot jobs primarily are in medical billing, medical collections, accounts payable, and financial data and business analysts. In contrast to the fears that have been expressed in the past several years, the shift to process automation and artificial intelligence has actually resulted in the need for more full-time and interim staff, not fewer, so at least in the short term, that's what we're seeing trend-wise. Culture is absolutely a priority. Employers are not only looking at what candidates know and can do, but also how well they would mesh with the current team. Companies are hiring interim staff to manage major events such as mergers and acquisitions, so there's lots of opportunities for CPAs working as project consultants in the near future.
Well, that's a lot of information, Sarah, and quite
Absolutely.
interesting. Important, again, I think, to reiterate, our job bank, and we have a discount code right now, and the discount code, one more time, is IWSAVE, S-A-V-E 20. So moving on, we're going to talk a little bit about the CPA pipeline. Ralph, what are you seeing and what are the trends are you seeing right now?
Well, right now, accounting enrollments continue to be up. I remember when I first started here at the Society, accounting enrollments had dropped significantly and were an all-time low since that information had been tracked. So we're very, very happy at that there, accounting programs in New Jersey and other states are growing and expanding. But the one thing that is concerning is the number of people taking and passing the CPA exam has flatlined. And we're trying to understand and get a better handle on that, but I think it's because of some of the trends that Sarah talked about. The fact that firms are hiring people with different skill sets and different competencies here. So that poses an interesting challenge for us in terms of what can we do. And I'd like to share with our audience some of the things that we are doing to try to overcome that or put more emphasis out there about the importance of passing the CPA exam. We're continuing to promote the CPA credential and profession at our New Jersey colleges. We now have 28 student ambassadors, which is the highest number of ambassadors that we have had to date. And those individuals act as our voice on college campuses to talk about the profession, to organize events and activities for accounting majors, to get them exposure to what the profession is all about in today's environment, and also to hopefully perk their interest in taking the CPA exam and pursuing the CPA designation. We, in addition to having those ambassadors, we have conducted 19 visits to colleges and universities here in New Jersey already this school year. And our goal is going to be to get to all 24 four-year schools. And then hopefully we'll have a little bit of time to also do some work at the community colleges, because we're finding today that community colleges are becoming a big feeder to the four-year institutions. And that's primarily because of the cost of the economics. It's a lot cheaper to go to a community college for the first 2 years, and if you're like me, you'd rather have your son or daughter find themselves the first 2 years at $6,000 a year versus $25,000 to $30,000 at some of the colleges and universities here in New Jersey. So I think we're doing a lot in that area, and it also provides a great opportunity for our members to join our staff to visit if they graduated from a New Jersey college, or even if they didn't, to go out and share their experience about why they're in the profession and what keeps them engaged in it. And I think too, they can share about the importance of the CPA credential in today's environment. It is still ranked as one of the highest credentials out in the marketplace by business owners and investors. I think only behind physicians and folks in the medical profession. So I think that we've got our work cut out for us in that regard, in terms of, trying to see what else we can do to have a bigger impact at the college level. And one of the other things that we've done and that we continue to do is annually we meet with the academic community at least twice a year in a forum. And we do that because we want to make sure that they are aware, because accounting faculty and professors in general are big centers of influence for students today. When students are not quite sure about what they want to do with their careers, usually they revert to their college professors and ask their advice on this. So I think it is important for us to take the time to make sure that accounting faculty are aware of what's taking place, some of the trends that Sarah talked about that are happening in the profession, so that they can better prepare and advise their students on what career paths that they should be considering as they go down the road. So we will continue to do this, and in fact we may even increase that. We found that the more exposure that our students have to CPAs, the better our chances are to getting them to be entrenched in the profession. And so with a lot of universities being focused on the accreditation process, there's been a trend away from hiring CPAs as permanent faculty in the academic community. They're now adjuncts, and so we're encouraging those universities to think about creating positions like executive in residence to assist the faculty with that gap that exists between what the professors are teaching and what's really happening in today's profession. So I think we've got our work cut out for us, and so that's going to be interesting to see how we do that. One thing I want to make a pitch for is our scholarship program, our college scholarship program. That deadline, the application deadline is January 7th. So if you know anyone that's a college junior or senior that is majoring in accounting, please urge them to submit an application. It's a great program. Again, the money that we offer is not bad, $6,000 for 1 year. That's pretty good. I wish I had that when I was going to school. So just again, the application deadline is January 7th. If you can find more information about the scholarship program on our website. So really encourage those young people out there. I'm amazed at how many times I meet with members or folks and I tell them about our scholarship program and they're like, "You have a scholarship program? My son or daughter is majoring in accounting. I wish I had known that." Yeah. So let it be known, we have a great scholarship program. As a matter of fact, it's probably one of the largest in the country amongst our other state societies. So,
Thanks, Ralph. You know, this is probably what I'm seeing is a pretty popular section with our members. I have a couple of questions here. And Ralph, for question one, has the profession's move toward advisory services led colleges to change their accounting curriculum? And what impact has it had on grads sitting for the CPA exam, if any?
well, again, as I said, the number of folks sitting and passing the exam has flatlined. So we roughly have somewhere close to 79,000 folks graduating from accounting programs annually nationwide. And approximately 22 to 23,000 take and pass the CPA exam. So, and that's kind of, as I said, flatlined and remained pretty consistent. So, and so that's a challenge for us to encourage students to come out and take the exam. I think one of the other things that we've seen are more business and industry are hiring people right off the college campus. When I grew up in the profession, you usually had to go work in public accounting if you really wanted to make the move into business and industry at a decent level other than accounts receivable, accounts payable. So I think those are the kinds of things that are in fact impacting the pipeline. As it relates to the skill sets, that's why we have the forums semi-annually with the academic community, to let them know what we're hearing when we go and do our firm visits. And I can share a couple of things that have evolved from those visits. One, communication skills is still a profession. While technology is evolving, it's still a profession where you have to be able to communicate and write effectively. And also analytical skills in terms of utilization of such things as Excel. It was very surprising because you think about today's young people and how they're so wired to technology, but apparently in what we found in many of the college curriculums that students take Excel in their freshman and sophomore year. So those are some of the things that we see and where we're trying to have an impact in that regard, to answer that question.
Thanks, Ralph. We're going to move on to the New Jersey section now. And as you probably already know, the state is in the midst of its tax amnesty program. We have a video for you, and in this video, John Ficarra, the director of the New Jersey Division of Taxation, is going to provide us an update on the program, including some of the issues and concerns that have been raised by NJCPA members. Let's go to the videotape.
I'm John Ficarra, Director of the New Jersey Division of Taxation, and I would like to speak to you briefly about tax amnesty. All taxes administered by the Division of Taxation are eligible for the current amnesty program, which covers tax returns filed or payments due on or after February 1st, 2009, and up to September 1st, 2017. This amounts to 9 years of annual returns and 34 quarters of business taxes. The amnesty period commenced on November 15th and will continue through January 15th, 2019. So what's waived? All recovery fees and costs of collection. All penalties except not civil or criminal fraud penalties, and 50% of the total interest due as of November 1st, 2018. And note that for liabilities timely paid within the amnesty period, interest does not continue to accrue after November 1st. Here are a few key points to remember. For taxpayers who do not participate in amnesty or only pay a portion of their debt, not only will the penalties, full interest, recovery fees, and costs of collection remain due, but additionally, a 5% non-abatable amnesty penalty will be added to the balance due. Next, each tax period stands alone. Payment of all tax and appropriate interest for any given tax period must be received by the last day of the program, January 15th, in order to receive the benefits under the program. And with over 750,000 notices mailed, there is the possibility that some may have been sent out with outdated information or reflect an issue that requires correction. Contacting us will ensure that any issues are addressed timely and properly. If you believe that you received the notice which is incorrect in whole or part, or if you know you have a tax matter that could be resolved through the amnesty program, please contact the Amnesty Hotline at 1-800-781-8407 or email us at tax.amnesty@treas.nj.gov. You can also visit the Amnesty website at www.taxamnesty.nj.gov and view a series of frequently asked questions with answers. Finally, we have already received a number of interesting questions from practitioners across a range of topics. Rather than attempting to answer these in detail on this short video message, let me say that the Division of Taxation is committed to arriving at equitable solutions wherever possible. So if you have clients who need clarification, contact us as soon as possible. Do not wait until January, since there will likely be a flurry of activity as we get closer to the deadline, which will make your efforts more frustrating. Thanks for listening, and have a great day.
If you follow the open forum, you know that many NJCPA members have seen tax amnesty notices that are either erroneous or require correction. You can learn more about how to report these notices by going to njcpa.org/tax-amnesty.
Thanks, Ralph. So now we're going to move on to some legislative updates that we have. You know, from minimum wage to cannabis to taxes, there's a lot to talk about on the legislative front in New Jersey. So we're going to start first with minimum wage, and I'm going to turn over to Sarah to have her walk us through what the proposed legislation looks like right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And for once, I don't talk about cannabis to start. So not that this is much more exciting, but it is very informative and important. So let me walk you through some of the things on minimum wage. On December 6th, New Jersey Assembly Speaker Craig Coughlin introduced legislation to gradually raise the state's minimum wage to $15 per hour. New Jersey's minimum wage will be $8.85 as of January 1st anyway, and the Speaker's proposal would increase it to $9.50 for most workers on July 1st, and then to $11 an hour next January. It would then increase on January 1st each year from 2021 to 2024 until topping out at $15 per hour. Farm workers, teenagers, seasonal workers, and employees at businesses with fewer than 10 workers would see their wages increase at a slower rate, not reaching the $15 per hour mark until 2029. These carve-outs were in direct response to New Jersey's small business community. Many of the state's smallest businesses say they would not be able to absorb the faster implementation without cutting employees' hours and or potentially substantially increasing their prices. So we asked NJCPA members to weigh in on all of this. More than 850 members have participated in our poll so far this week. 55% of the respondents feel that New Jersey's minimum wage should be increased, and 33% of members are more likely to support an increase to $15 per hour if there are carve-outs for certain groups such as the teenagers and seasonal workers. However, consistent with past polls, the majority of members do feel a $15 minimum wage, even if it's phased in over a number of years, will hurt New Jersey's economy rather than help it. According to the Assembly Speaker, there likely won't be any movement on this legislation until late January. Governor Murphy has stated that he does not want to include any carve-outs, so we'll all have to stay tuned and see how this plays out in the new year.
Absolutely. Thanks, Sarah. So moving on to cannabis. Ralph, many of our members have been following the progress of the potential legislation of adult-use marijuana and what impact it could have on CPAs who want to serve this emerging industry. What is the latest and the greatest?
Well, the latest is that the governor wants to have legalized adult use. We call it adult use to make it a little more palatable. A package of bills that would legalize adult use, expand medical marijuana, and set expungement rules passed a joint Senate and Assembly committee on November 23rd. The next step for the adult use bill is for it to be voted on by both the houses, the Senate and the Assembly, and the legislature, which likely won't happen until January at the earliest. We will keep members posted on any new developments. We're holding a webinar on January 7th that will address some of the regulatory issues around the legalization of cannabis, and you can learn more by visiting the links on your screen. One other thing that we're doing is we're working with the State Board of Accountancy to develop a statement of position for our members so that because marijuana is a federally banned substance, there are certain things that our members need to be aware of. So we're pushing the State Board. In fact, our members in the cannabis interest group actually drafted a statement for the State Board's consideration, and that is on the December agenda for the State Board meeting.
Thanks, Ralph. That's really important to know. You know, we're also closely tracking a number of other bills that have moved recently. I'm going to ask Sarah and Ralph to tell us a little bit about them.
Absolutely. This is a concept that was the brainchild of an NJCPA member, Alan Sobel, has introduced this legislation, and it's now Senate Bill S3246, which would allow New Jersey pass-through entities to pay income taxes at the entity level instead of at the personal level. This is a key distinction because the Tax Cuts and Job Act does not place a cap on the deduction of state taxes assessed and paid at an entity level. So this measure stands to save New Jersey business owners hundreds of millions of dollars without the loss of any tax revenues to the state. The bill was approved by the Senate Budget and Appropriations Committee on December 10th, and it is scheduled for a full Senate vote on December 17th. It is expected to pass. So check the link on your screen for the latest developments and updates as they become available.
Yeah, and another one of our members, Sean Scudellaro, proposed legislation that would flow the federal government's lead and provide Section 1202 tax incentives to targeted New Jersey-based business owners and primarily startups and mid-sized companies. This bill passed the full Senate and now has to pass the Assembly. And so we're hopeful that it will go through the Assembly without any issues or problems.
Right. And there's also a long overdue update to New Jersey's Accountancy Act that's making its way through the legislative process. This bill would permit firm mobility and CPE reciprocity and would make other changes to conform with the Uniform Accountancy Act. This passed the full Senate on October 29th, and it must pass the full Assembly before being sent to the governor for his consideration.
Thank you both, Sarah and Ralph. For more information about these bills and other legislation being tracked by the NJCPA, visit the link on your screen. And remember to listen to the new IssuesWatch podcast. New episodes are released every other Tuesday and provide timely updates on NJ legislative issues. One last legislative update before we move on to New Jersey tax issues. So Ralph, the NJCPA recently endorsed pension and benefit reform recommendations outlined in the Path to Progress report. I know you participated in that, and we'd love to hear an update on that.
Sure. The Path to Progress is a report issued by Senate President Sweeney's Economic and Fiscal Policy Work Group. And as you mentioned, Alan, we were fortunate to be invited to participate in that group. The report outlined dozens of recommendations in 5 major areas. When it comes to the pension and retirement and health benefits area, New Jersey is, for lack of a better, just at a crisis level. We hosted a Q&A session with the Senate President last month, and we talked to him about this issue. And here's a brief clip from that discussion.
Our pension and healthcare system is not sustainable anymore. Our revenue growth in the state of New Jersey is going to be completely consumed by pension and healthcare costs this year. There will not be 1 penny for anything else. And raising taxes in this state is not the answer. This is a state that has a tax problem. We have plenty of money if it was managed properly and spent properly. We discuss this all the time. So, you know, when you look at the pensions, and as we looked at it, it took us 6 years to get the $3.2 billion pension payment that we made this year. We have 4 years to make to get it up to 6.7. We can't get there. And then we looked at our health care program, and what was, I mean, shocking to me. You hear about platinum, you hear about gold, platinum, and you know, platinum plus. New Jersey pays 97% of all health care dollars. It's not gold, it's not platinum. It's platinum, platinum plus. And as Steve Warhill reminds us on a regular basis, under Obamacare, there's a tax for platinum healthcare programs. Anything above gold, you're going to pay a 40% tax. So if we don't do something, we're going to increase our healthcare costs by 40% by maintaining a program that we can't afford to start with. So They're numbers. I'm in a room full of people that understand numbers. They don't add up.
CPA feels that the recommendations made to address this crisis are crucial to getting the state's economy back on track. The report calls for shifting new state and local government employees and those with less than 5 years service to a sustainable hybrid system. The current system would be preserved for those with over 5 years of service. When it comes to health benefits, the most impactful recommendation is to shift health care coverage for all state and local government employees and retirees from Platinum to Gold. There are 6 additional recommendations which you can read at the link. Now, let's go to taxes.
Thanks, Ralph. Yeah, as Ralph said, we're going to shift over to taxes. And although we've covered this content in previous broadcasts, we thought it might be helpful to quickly recap the major tax changes that were included in the New Jersey budget as of July 1st. So I'm going to ask Sarah to take us through them.
Yeah, absolutely. Here we are on the edge of busy season, ready to jump off. So let's review some of the New Jersey tax changes for 2018 for individuals. First one is there's an earned income credit increase to 37% for the tax year 2018. There's the property tax deduction increased from $10,000 to $15,000, and a reminder that this is just New Jersey, not federal. There's a new child and dependent care credit. There is a new 10.75% tax rate for income of more than $5 million. Also not part of this year's budget, but as part of the Transportation Trust Fund bill passed 2 years ago, the next increase in the retirement exclusion income goes into effect on January 1st. Switching over to some businesses and some tax changes on that front, there's a 2.5% corporate business surtax that has been added for most companies with allocated net income exceeding $1 million. Mandatory combined reporting is effective for combined groups for periods beginning on or after January 1st, 2019. Online sellers outside of New Jersey who meet certain requirements have to collect and remit New Jersey sales tax. Rentals of transient accommodations, such as vacation home rentals in New Jersey, are now subject to sales tax as well. So there's a lot going on both federally and with New Jersey taxes, so
Indeed.
keep up on all these changes.
Thanks, Sarah. That was important for our members to be aware of.
Absolutely.
And a lot going on. I know a lot of concerns about this busy season.
Mm-hmm.
Another big concern, speaking of concerns, is in New Jersey is property taxes. In our last broadcast, we mentioned that the NJCPA was producing a guide to help homeowners understand their property taxes. And I'm going to ask Ralph to take us through and show us a little bit about the guide that we produced.
Well, here's a copy of the guide, and it's really an educational piece to inform New Jerseyans how their property taxes are calculated, since it is such a big issue in New Jersey, and also to really just educate them about that. We took a position similar to what was done out in California about producing a tax guide, because we found out that most people don't realize what goes into their taxes. So this is really a good educational piece that takes you through the process. It's different in different municipalities, but it really gives you a guide, because if there's going to be any action done on that, it'll be best to have the constituents engaged about that. The New Jersey Homeowners Guide to Property Taxes was published in October. Hard copies are available, and an online version can be accessed at NJCPA So I encourage you to think about using it. Members can also order a branded version with their logo on it. It'll be something good to pass out to their constituents. And I'll go back earlier this month, the New Jersey Business and Industry Association released the results of their 60th annual Outlook survey, and I just took some of your work.
No, that's fair. You're absolutely right. They did release the survey, and there was both encouraging news and areas of concern voiced by our organization members. And I'm going to ask Sarah to fill us in on that survey.
Yeah, it was some really interesting results, Ellen. I mean, nearly 900 people participated in the survey, the majority of who represent small businesses, which for this purpose is considered under 50 employees. So overall, the respondents said that sales and profits rose in 2018, and they forecast a rise in sales, profits, and hiring and wages in 2019. However, they did remain guarded about New Jersey's economy and feel the state is non-competitive with other states in many of the categories. Only a few businesses plan to expand into New Jersey, and fewer NJBIA members intend to retire in New Jersey than in previous surveys taken. The top 3 areas of concern for respondents were property taxes, the cost of doing business, and health insurance costs. And when it comes to their sentiments about the U.S. economy and the New Jersey economy, there is a huge gap, as you can see in the slides on your screen. So in summary, New Jersey businesses continue to show strength, impacts of higher taxes, and increased mandates are concerning employers at a higher rate than ever before. New Jersey is regarded as less competitive than other states, and NJBIA members are cautious on the New Jersey economy, but optimistic about their own ability to perform.
Thanks, Sarah.
Yeah, you're welcome.
We're going to round out the New Jersey section of our program with an update on the state's CPE regulations, something that's near and dear to all of our hearts. So, Ralph?
Thanks, Ellen. Well, we've been patiently, or not so patiently, waiting for the proposed overhaul of the Board of Accounts, these rules and regs to be approved. The changes which were passed by the board 15 months ago are currently awaiting review and approval by the Attorney General's office. After that, they will be published in the New Jersey Register for public comment, so members, if they have comments, can write when it comes out in the Register. So we all have to stay tuned. We'll share the information as soon as it becomes available about what's happening there.
Thanks, Ralph. An awful lot happening on the New Jersey front.
Absolutely.
Also on the national section too, you know, it's been a full year of talking about tax reform, but there are still more updates and guidance to discuss. So I'm going to ask Ralph to cover a few of the most recent ones.
Thanks, Ellen. For individuals, the IRS recently issued proposed regulations so that individuals taking advantage of the increased gift and estate tax exclusion amounts in effect from 2018 to 25 will not be adversely impacted after 2025, when the exclusion amount is scheduled to drop back to pre-2018 levels. On the business side, long-awaited guidance on the new QBI deduction finally became available. The specifics are really too detailed to get in at this segment of IssuesWatch or during this program, but you can learn more about them on the link on your screen. The IRS has issued proposed regulations on the new business interest expense deduction limit. It is effective for tax years beginning after December 31, 2017 for most businesses with gross receipts over $25 million. The TCJI created opportunity zones designated to spur investment in distressed communities. More than 8,700 communities have been designated as qualified opportunity zones. And here in New Jersey, we have 169 areas that have been designated opportunity zones. Investors may defer tax on almost any capital gain up to December 31, 2026 by making an appropriate investment in a zone, making an election after December 21st, 2017, and meeting other requirements. And there could be more changes to come. A second tax reform bill has been introduced by the chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee in an effort to enact technical changes and clarifications to the TCJA. While the prospects of that bill being approved are iffy at best, given all that's happening in Washington, it does include a number of provisions that would help businesses. You can read more at the link on your screen.
Thanks, Ralph. So I'm going to ask you to watch your mail in a couple of weeks for the January-February issue of New Jersey CPA magazine, which focuses on taxes. And earlier in the program, we discussed the NJBIA economic survey. Now we're going to look at some national economic results. I'm going to ask Sarah to take us through that.
Sure, absolutely. The AICPA recently released these results, and it was a fourth quarter economic outlook survey that they had done. And basically that polls CEOs, CFOs, controllers, and other senior management individuals who are CPAs. So 57% of the survey respondents expressed optimism about the U.S. economy over the next 12 months. This number is actually down 12 percentage points from last quarter. Things such as trade issues, rising interest rates were cited as some of the factors for this difference. but almost half of the respondents said they planned salary increases over the next 12 months to help with retention and recruitment in the tight labor market, which was something we followed up with, based on what we talked about earlier in this segment.
Thanks, Sarah. We did have one question that came in. It reads, it's unfortunate that companies are primarily hiring CPAs on a contract basis and are only hiring for mainly 6 months without the possibility of permanent employment. Do we have any suggestions for CPAs stuck in the contract basis? Amongst ourselves, we're not aware of this being a prevalent practice. We do know that some CPAs do prefer to work on a contract basis. I would offer any...
Yeah, I mean, the question implies that it's a negative trend. I think that economically, we're becoming a gig economy, and I think that's only going to increase. It provides flexibility for the business owners as well as for the contracted CPA. I don't know that you want to avoid it or can avoid it, because I think it is something that's becoming more prevalent in lots of professions and services, right, throughout the nation. It offers you flexibility and different opportunities that you wouldn't normally have before. So from my position, it's not necessarily a negative. I don't know if you feel different.
No, I think so too. I think it gives the company an opportunity to take a look at people that they may want to eventually hire full-time to see if they have the skill sets and competencies. And for the CPA, it gives him or her an opportunity to say, is this a company that I want to work for and not
right,
necessarily be tied to? So.
And I guess if the question is coming from the point of view of the CPA wants to get out of the contract business, we talked a lot about our job bank and
right,
other types of
sure,
opportunities that we have to do some job searching. I would suggest possibly using that.
Yeah, and I think too that accounting, the needs for accounting personnel is still up, according to the
right,
Department of Labor. They're I think forecasted to be somewhere in the order of magnitude of 200,000 jobs between now and 2021. So that's still a thing. And one thing I forgot to talk about was P10. Yeah,
important.
P10, yes. Members, please renew your P10s by December 31st. That's an important thing if you're preparing taxes and you need to have those P10s renewed there. So don't hesitate and wait.
Thanks, Ralph. So in closing, we're happy to announce the registration is open for the 2019 NJCPA Convention and Expo, which is taking place June 11th through 14th at the Borgata in Atlantic City. Early bird rates are in effect until April 26th, but an additional discount is available for registrations placed prior to January 1st. So get those registrations in. And that concludes today's broadcast. Thank you again to the New Jersey Division of Taxation's Tax Amnesty Program for sponsoring today's broadcast. We will be posting follow-up information about this broadcast, slides, links, videos in the My Events section of the website shortly. And you can access your My Events section through the website. If you have a colleague who missed today's broadcast, we will be playing it twice for CPE credit, December 19th at 2 p.m., December 21st at 12 p.m. And our next edition of IssuesWatch will take place on March 21st at 9 a.m., and we will be broadcasting live from the NJCPA Convention and Expo again this year in June. In the meantime, please check njcpa.org, NJCPA Pulse, the Open Forum, and subscribe to the IssuesWatch podcast for updates on all the topics we discussed today and more. We close today's broadcast with a special holiday video from the NJCPA staff to you. And in closing, I'm wishing you all a wonderful holiday season.
Happy
Absolutely.
holidays.
Happy holidays.
Bye-bye.
All right, I think that takes care of everything that we need to do for the party, right? Anything else? All right, then we got to do the decorations for the office. Mel, you put them away last year, right?
I believe I did, and I think they're in the closet.
All right, how about we go over there now and start decorating?
Sounds good.
All right, let's go.
Okay, the holiday committee has come to me and told me they can't find the holiday decorations. If they can't find the decorations, we can't have a holiday. What? Wait a minute. But I'm going to command all of you to go out and find those decorations so we can have a holiday. So go to it.
All right.
There's nothing in here but NJCPA swag.
They couldn't find the holiday decorations, and they're gonna cancel the holidays!
You gotta give us money for the decoration.
It's not happening. We're not buying anything more. Find them.
With the holidays looking like they're gonna be canceled, it's made me realize what's really important. I have something I want to ask you. Will you marry me?
I guess we'll have to cancel the holidays.